Welcome into the latest episode of the Five on the Floor podcast. I'm Ethan Skolnick, part of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Make sure you check out the other podcasts in our network. We've got a huge episode coming up this week. Cat's out of the bag on this one. Jason Taylor sat down with OJ McDuffie and Seth Levitt in the Fish Tank. That's going to be posting on August 6th. So make sure you check that out. It is JT completely uncensored. Also check out the rest of their episodes. You should definitely listen to the one with Zach Thomas, because Zach Thomas should be going in the Hall of Fame this weekend, but for some reason Ty Law is instead. So listen to the episode, Zach Thomas. Also check out 3 yards per carry, full force again, Simon Clancy, Alfredo Arteaga, of course, Chris Kaufman. I'm going to be out at the Dolphins scrimmage on Saturday. We'll be giving out cards. If you post on Twitter a picture of yourself with one of the cards, we will retweet you and follow you. So make sure that you do that. And also 5 Rings Canes is back with Andrew Ivins and David Lake joining Josh Darrow. They did 2 episodes, one on the team as it is now and one on recruiting with Ivins, who is the recruiting guru in South Florida. Before we get to today's episode, I want to tell you it's being brought to you by Doral Toyota. More than 1,200 cars in inventory at Doral Toyota. Of course, you can find them at DoralToyota.com or in Doral. They're just 3 blocks east of the Dolphin Mall. That's at 9775 Northwest 12th Street. They've got in-house financing available for credit-related issues. And a couple of things you should know about. One, if you mention 5 Reasons, you're going to work directly with a manager, not with a salesperson. So somebody who's not that they do this at Doral Toyota, but you know at other dealerships, sometimes they try to get you to do something you don't want to do. You're going to work directly with a manager. But also, pricing is an all-time low, and they will beat any other Toyota dealer price. So go in, mention 5 Reasons, 5 on the floor, and experience the Doral difference, which means 4 years. That's 4 years of complimentary maintenance and roadside assistance on all new vehicles, and in-house financing available for credit-related issues.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a Miami Heat and NBA podcast from Ethan Skolnick with Alphonse Sidney, a.k.a. Alf954. Brought to you by the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
All right, now here's the big news today. I woke Alf up. As you know, I went to Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, taped a bunch of episodes, was very reachable. People were able to get in touch with me. My friend here, Alf Sidney, Alf954, goes to Vegas and disappears. What the hell happened?
Ethan, you went to Vegas to do sports stuff. I went to Vegas for my other job, my real job. And, you know, I had work things to do, and then I also got drunk a lot.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Why did you just start with that?
I had to make the good excuse first. But,
yeah.
You know, half the day was work stuff, and the other half I was drunk. So,
all right. Well, I was a little surprised because I engaged in something that usually you engage in. Like, this isn't me. Like, if you go back to my last, 20 years as a so-called professional journalist, I didn't sort of get into it with fans very much, like even the idiots. You know, I mean, now I have some trolls, right? There's 8 people on Twitter who like hearing themselves, tweet at each other and getting their account suspended and then coming back because they have nothing better to do. But
and then they blame us for getting their account suspended.
Right. And if for some reason, one is obsessed with my hair. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, for 46, I don't know. This isn't fake. It's not great, but it's still there. I mean, I'm Jewish. That's just about as good as you get.
I get comments about my forehead all the time. But, to be fair, it's getting bigger as the days go on. So.
Right. Well, it happens.
Right.
But the one thing that I don't really do very much is kind of engage with sort of idiot fans. But there was something on Twitter this week that not only inspired me to tweet back at these people as you usually do when I tell you to stop, but also gives me the inspiration for this episode, which is the worst fan base in the NBA, from the perspective of a Heat fan. So those New Yorkers' view of the world, type things.
Yeah.
Where it's basically the Empire State Building is 75% of the map, right? And the Statue of Liberty, and like down there somewhere is Boston, this little speck. This is from a Heat fan's perspective. We're in the off season. I'm going down to the Bam Adebayo press conference today. I'm going to tape with our friend Alex Toledo. So we're all going to do some NBA and some Heat coming up. Howard Beck's going to join us next week. Coach Thorpe, who was one of our most popular guests, has come back next week to evaluate the whole Heat roster. So we're going to get into all of that. But there is no Jimmy Butler press conference upcoming. He's in Europe. Then when he comes back, Riley's going to be gone. I don't think there's going to be a presser until training camp opens in September. So we're trying to fill some gaps here. So basically, I fill the gaps by going at idiot fans. And it just so happens that a lot of them are in Philadelphia. And I know you have found this because you've been arguing with these process people forever. But I just want to tell you what inspired this, and then we're going to kind of get into the topic for today, okay? Which is that there was a piece that was put on Liberty Ballers. Now, Liberty Ballers is kind of a blog site for the Sixers. And I've read them before, and they do some pretty decent work, but this is not it. It's just not it. So the title of this piece, it was supposed to be a Players Tribune piece. As you know, Players Tribune is where, that's where Deion Waiters basically got his 4-year contract from the Heat, because he wrote about, how much he loved Pat Riley. But Why I'm Retiring to Florida by Jimmy Butler.
They love this retirement angle because
That's all
they still live in the 80s where South Florida is a retirement community.
Right, exactly. And nobody's working down here. That's why, that's why there's never anybody on the roads. Like, that's why the 836 and 826
Yeah, exactly.
are always totally empty. So I'm just going to
When I think South Beach, I think retirement community. That's what I think about.
Well, exactly, right. I mean, there's nobody working hard down here ever, anywhere, right? Working 2 jobs, trying to make ends meet or whatever. In my case, working no jobs. But here, this is the beginning of this piece, okay? And I try to hold the laughter, Alf, because I know it's going to be challenging. Okay?
I'm just going to mute my mic.
All right, do that. All right, earlier this summer, this is by Jimmy Butler. I mean, apparently he decided to write this piece from Amsterdam. Earlier this summer, I decided to retire and move to Florida. The decision wasn't an easy one, but I'm confident it was the right one. I know not everyone understands my choice, but I hope this piece will bring you all some clarity. First off, I want to say thank you to the Philadelphia 76ers and their fans. The fans showed up with great passion for all 4 quarters of every single game. Even in the regular season, I didn't know it was possible to care that often, but it turns out it is, and I was impressed. The media reported on a wide range of stories about me and my relationship with the team during my time in Philly, but these stories lacked context. I'm not usually too open about things, but I'd like to take some time to share my perspective on 2 of the most talked about interpersonal conflicts this season. There were all kinds of rumors about me yelling at Brett Brown. Those rumors were true. In the past, I also yelled at Tom Thibodeau and Fred Hoiberg, and then I yelled at Tom Thibodeau some more. In a couple months, I'm going to yell at Eric Spoelstra. This is a very normal player-coach dynamic. There was also speculation about my relationship with Ben Simmons, so let me clear something up. Ben and I are friends. Yes, we tease each other. I used to tell him to shoot the 3, and he would say to me, I told the team I'm not signing an extension if you're back next season. That's what friends do. I've never had an issue with any teammate my whole career.
I never read this. They published this?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. It's going to get worse.
God. Keep going.
Mute your mic. A big reason all my teammates love me is my drive to win. Winning is literally the only thing I care about, so leaving a championship contender in Philly was tough, but the lifestyle that comes with being rich, famous, and retired in South Beach was just too good to pass up. I couldn't be more excited to begin my 4-year retirement tour with the Miami Heat. Just look at how they treated Dwayne Wade last season. Although it was close, the Heat had more Wade nights than the Sixers did Iverson nights, and that ended up playing a big part of my decision. I fully expect a Wade-level send-off from these Miami fans, and I think Adam Silver might even give me an honorary spot in the next few All-Star games. Since moving to Florida, I hope you're still there, but keep it muted, I've gotten a chance to meet some of my new teammates, and they're a really interesting group. Goran Dragic speaks 4 languages. James Johnson has a black belt in karate, and Kelly Olynyk is the Florida man in most of the Florida man stories. I think we have a great locker room, and who knows, maybe we'll mess around and win 40 games this season. Crazier things have happened. Just 3 more paragraphs out. I've accomplished a lot in my career. I've been on the All-NBA third team twice and the All-Defensive team 4 times. I've been an All-Star 4 times, Conference Player of the Week 4 times, and Conference Player of the Month once. I won the Most Improved Player Award. I've made the playoffs 7 times, and I've won 3 playoff series. It was a tough choice to retire in my prime, but ultimately I've already done everything I set out to do in this league. I think I'll fit in well with the other retirees in Florida. Like many of them, I came from the Northeast, played dominoes in my free time, and occasionally forget the NBA added a 3-point line. After years of hard work, I'm finally ready to wind things down, and I can't think of a better place to be. Last paragraph. During my retirement, I plan on doing more of the things I love, living in the same house as my other adult friends, doing interviews with numerous outlets about my tough and straightforward attitude, and teaching Mark Wahlberg's daughter how to shoot a basketball. I'm thrilled to begin this new chapter of my life. Unmute.
I mean, wow. I want to give it a standing ovation, just of complete and utter stupidity. Like, it's so, first of all, it's just so bad. There's a bunch of self-owns in there as well, which is awesome. You don't care about Jimmy leaving, but you're also saying that he's in his prime. You don't care about Jimmy leaving, but you also write a 1,000-word fake essay about it. Like, it's just amazing. They have no self-awareness at all. That you were saying, like, who's the worst fan base? it's a sliding scale at all times. But right now, Philly, they're taking because it's like this whole unearned arrogance, and that's what makes the fan base really bad, right?
Well, it's not just okay. It's not just the unearned arrogance. I'm going to get into my response to this in a second. It's not just the unearned arrogance of the fan base. It kind of feeds from the unearned arrogance of the two top players on that team, right? Like Embiid and Simmons have this kind of swagger that I mean they haven't made it out of the second round yet, right?
Especially Embiid. I mean, Embiid, play a couple seasons where he played over 70 games before you start talking shit. Like, I mean, it's amazing. He talks the most shit of anybody in the NBA with the least accomplishments. Like,
I think that's fair, actually.
The Venn diagram on him is like
okay. Where does Hassan fit on that?
Does Hassan go out there and like? I mean, come on.
We got shooters.
I know, but Embiid calls out people by name,
right?
And it's constant. Like Hassan normally just kind of minds his own business until he's challenged, and every once in a while he says something stupid on Instagram. And even the "we got shooters" thing was I thought it was kind of benign. Yeah. I mean, he just found out about it. He was excited, and he's going to a team with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Like, probably the first thing in his mind was like, man, I got some shooters. Compared to the Heat last year, he kind of was right.
To Alf.
What's that?
Who'll never pass to once.
No, of course not. Because once he gets the ball, in the block, it's not coming back out.
All right, so we're going to get to the other worst fan base, but I'm just going to give you my response to this on Twitter. It's just very simple. A lot of times I just like responding with stats because, stats don't lie, right? Like they are what they are. And this is a pretty uncomplicated stat. And I'm going to give you some of the responses to my response because there's apparently a learning problem in Philadelphia. I thought Boston had the worst learning problem, which is weird because Boston has some of the best universities in the country. But for years, during the whole Ray Allen thing, there wasn't a single person in Boston who could spell the word traitor correctly when they were tweeting at me. That
was amazing.
It was all T-R-A-U-R, and it didn't matter how you tried to correct them. And it's not like a phonetics thing, so I don't get it. Like they could not spell out T-R-A.
I mean, that's the way they say traitor.
Right. Right. If they had said if there had been an A at the end, like okay, that's Boston. Boston doesn't use R's at the end when in their accents, so I don't even know why there was still an R there. Anyway, it didn't make sense. All right, so here was my reply. I posted the Liberty Ballers article. I gave it too much attention, as I'm probably giving it too much attention here. Okay, but I posted this on 5 Reasons Sports. Try to get us to 12,000. I've been trying to get there for a while. Championships since 1983. Heat 3, 76ers 0. Finals appearances, Heat 5, 76ers 1. Now, why did I post that? Because there's this idea out there that somehow Jimmy Butler is leaving a winning organization to go to an organization like the Knicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? He's leaving an organization that hasn't won shit in 36 years, okay, to go to an organization that has only been around for 33 years and has won 3 championships and been to 5 finals. And okay, look, this is the responses I got, Alf.
And also remember that the 76ers are known for losing on purpose, which is the best part of the whole thing. Like, and also they what they've done with their top picks, like they act like this process has worked out so well. I mean, Nerlens Noel, Michael Carter Williams, Fultz. Carter Williams was pre, but yes, the other 3. But I'm saying they have a history of terrible drafting.
Correct,
right? Okay, and they hit on a point guard who can't shoot and a center that can't stay healthy. But I mean, winning franchise and Tobias Harris, max player. Let's go.
Right. So anyway, this thing got 246 retweets and 856 likes, okay? But it also got some comments from some fans in Philadelphia. And you know what the objection was in Philadelphia? And this just, again, shows the level of stupidity here. The objection was, why did you start at 1983? Now the reason why did you pick this random date? Now the reason I picked 1983 is because it is the last time that the Sixers won a championship. They had
You should have picked 1988 when the Heat
became a franchise. I was giving them a 5-year head start, Alf. 1983, okay, the year before they drafted Barkley, all right, or it was but 2 seasons, but the year, okay, they had Dr. J, Andrew Toney, Maurice Cheeks, a very, very good team. Moses Malone. I mean, that was the fo team. Okay, that was a terrific team. Okay, it was like the one team during that era that broke up the Celtics Lakers thing. Like Houston slipped in there a little bit with the Twin Towers, but otherwise, that era, like we talk about Golden State's dominance recently, like that era was dominated by two teams. Okay, one of which Pat coached, but like it was dominated by two teams, and then Philly and Houston popped in there, and that was it. There was nothing else. Okay. And Philadelphia had a great team. It was a terrific one-season team. Terrific, okay? But otherwise, they kept losing to the Celtics, all right? That was the one year that they broke through. They were better. But the reason I picked 1983 is because the last time that they won a title. But I was essentially giving them a 5-year head start because the Heat didn't start until 88. So I said to these idiots, I'm like, okay, so let's start at 88, okay? It's the same.
Yeah, just make it, it's even worse.
Right, it's worse, but the numbers are actually the same. It's you talking about 5 finals appearances versus 1. They had one team that went to the finals in 2001 because Iverson won an MVP. They won one game in the finals where he stepped all over Ty Lue. They lost the last 4, got dominated in the last 4. I covered that series. I was at all 5 games. And that was not a great team. Like they had Allen Iverson. Jermaine Jones was getting heavy minutes. Eric Snow was the point guard. Mutombo came over midseason, okay, but he wasn't quite the Dikembe he'd been before. And love him to death. I'm friendly with him, but Raja Bell was in the rotation, and Raja would probably tell you it's not a great team, okay? They got to the finals because it was a weak East, and Iverson went supernova at certain times.
That might have been the weakest Eastern Conference of the last 40 years.
Could have been. But
that year, if not, it's top 5. Right,
but here was the response, and I want to move on to some other fan bases because I don't want to waste that much time on these people, but like – and I'm already wasting enough. But the other response to this that was just classic was, and I got this from a ton of them, was, well, what did the Heat ever win without LeBron and Wade? Okay. I mean,
that's more than half of their
existence. Wade's been here was here for 16. I know not the whole thing, but he was basically here for, most of 16 seasons. All right, which is half of the Heat's history. Dwayne was in their uniform. And so I don't understand. Are we saying that the way you procure the player matters in terms of what you accomplish? So Cleveland had LeBron for 11 years. They won 1 title. The Heat had him for 4 years. They won 2, and they would have won 3 if he hadn't gone catatonic the first year. All right.
Remember also the Cavs never won with LeBron as a drafted player.
Correct.
They won with him as a free agent. So it's okay to get a great player in free agency when it's the Cavs. The moving goalposts on this when it comes to the Heat is just fantastic, right? So what would they have done without LeBron? What would the Bulls be without
Jordan?
What would the Lakers have been without Shaq and Kobe? It's just the sliding scale they use on this crap. It's over and over, and it always tends to not favor the Heat. No matter what.
Well, well, that's the other thing, Alf. Josh Richardson, we've talked about this. I love Josh personally and as a player. I love Josh, and I wish him enormous success, okay? And I know a lot of Heat fans are torn because they love Josh, and now they hate the Sixers, right? So this is complicated.
I want him to average 40 and lose 60 games.
Right, but he's not going to do that because that's not him, but suddenly in the eyes of the national media, it is. Like, Josh went from a player that, like, oh, yeah, he's just some second-round pick. Whatever.
So you remember when we were talking about the Jimmy Butler trade back in February or basically all season? Mm. And how many people were saying, oh, you wouldn't trade Jimmy Butler for a scrub like Josh Richardson? And remember, it was Josh Richardson, maybe Kelly Olynyk, and a first-round pick. And that was a narrative. But as soon as the trade goes through, and if all Philly gets is Josh Richardson,
right
now, oh man, Philly came out on top on this one.
So if they came out on top, why not shut up here? Okay, so here's another.
That's the thing. They will tell you, oh, we got Josh Richardson, we're fine. But then they post stupid articles like that, and they get triggered anytime you say anything about Jimmy Butler.
So here's one. This is from I'm not going to give the name, but this dude's trying. There's this guy on Twitter. He's wearing like a tie and a suit, and his hair is perfectly coiffed, and it's just whatever. I just used coiffed in a sense. But like, okay, this is his response to my championship thing. What does this have to do with anything? He's going to the 2020 Heat, not the 2012 Heat. And yeah, the Heat were successful 8 years ago. I mean, they won a title 6 years ago, but whatever. But let's not act like there's some historic, iconic franchise. Celtics and Lakers fans can play that card, not Heat fans. And then smiley, laughing face emoji. First thing, the Heat over the past 20 years have been better than the Lakers. I mean, even with the Lakers winning titles at the tail end of Kobe's situation. So, and the Celtics went through, as we know, basically a 15-year period of complete irrelevance, okay? Like with ML Carr coaching.
You want to talk about since the Heat have been in existence, they've been a far better franchise than the Celtics have since 1988.
Correct.
High key.
Correct. Right. And well, the Celtics, we're going to get into them next. The Celtics, are living off one championship. I've never seen a team milk one like the 2004 Pistons, okay? Like, have not milked that thing.
No,
right?
they don't have reunions.
Right. Well, they did have one. I went to I was actually happened to be in Detroit covering when Stan was up there, and they did have a reunion for the 2004 Pistons. So it does exist, okay? But I'm just saying, like, it's amazing to me, okay, that the Celtics, I mean, it's like the greatest team that's ever existed. Like Kendrick Perkins was a starter. Anyway, all right. So here's a couple more here. Okay, the Heat were better in the past, but they bleeping suck now. We're in 2019, dude. Championship. There's another one. Championship finals appearances without LeBron or Shaq, 0. I mean, again. Oh, okay. Championship appearances, championship wins, Alf, with Barkley or with, not without, with Barkley or Iverson, 0. Like,
one appearance.
Right.
And then you want to talk about LeBron carrying the Heat, which, LeBron was the best player on the team, but he had a shit ton of help. That team that Iverson dragged to the finals, that was one player taking on an entire team, right?
Yes, right.
So, but no one discounts their one finals appearance. That's because no one even fucking talks about their one finals appearance. Right. But no one discounts it because of Iverson. Like,
why are we disparaging accomplishments? Like, what? Why?
Yes, that's the whole thing.
If you win a championship, if you get to a finals, it is an accomplishment. Like this,
but usually it takes having the best players in the world to win a title.
Right. It's like okay. So we're gonna say that. So the other one was okay. This guy actually tweeted, okay, 0 for 1 is a better percentage than 3 for 5. What do you do with that shit? What do you do with that? I wasted 48 hours on this.
It's the public education system, man. That's we have to nail down.
But I thought
the problem.
Pennsylvania has better schools than Florida. We probably do public schools. So what is I don't.
Well, then you had the guy who actually thought that Liberty Ballers article was real.
Oh, no, that was another one. Yeah, yeah. And then of course he used "you're wrong" and didn't have the apostrophe. All right, so
and then I called him stupid, and then he made fun of my hairline, which is.
And then he retweeted. What is this with hairlines? Yeah. Anyway, look. So we're gonna. The reason we're doing this, I don't want to waste more time on them, honestly. But the reason, this idea again that the Heat are not a winning. He didn't go to Sacramento. He didn't go to the Knicks. He didn't go to Phoenix. He came to an organization that's won, championship. And again, I'm not playing Homer here. It's just facts. Like, again, no one killed them more for what they did in 2000, the Heat, than what they did in 16 and 17 than me. I'm not saying they're perfect, but to make an argument that, that this is an organization here that's not trying to win, and that he's coming down here to retire is just absolutely. So, look, LeBron may have gone to the Lakers to retire. That's another topic, okay? But like, Jimmy Butler didn't come here to retire. That's just stupid. But let's go to these fan bases, okay? Because I need your list, all right? Just the most annoying fan bases. We both agree Philadelphia is one of the 5, right?
Yeah, Philadelphia is. It's over like the last 3 years. Ever since they got a little bit relevant, they've moved into the top 5. Like Philadelphia, we just ignore them for the most part.
Right.
Now, what's fun, like Detroit has gotten pretty bad.
I don't know.
But it's hard to even give them any credit because
who's on Detroit other than Blake at this point, Drummond?
I have no idea. I still think Stanley Johnson's on the team, so
right.
I have no idea. So
all right, so I'm not going to give you Detroit. All right, so you got to give me some. All right, so
okay, but Boston, of course.
All right, yes. All right, so let's address them. I think they're more obnoxious than Philly fans generally.
I don't. You know what? It seems like lately they've become a little bit more reasonable. I think because the sheen on Brad Stevens is dulling a little bit, and they're kind of realizing that nobody wants to come play for them, and they might be a racist city. Like, there's like this realization that's coming around.
That the latter might be seen as a positive. I'm not sure. That's just comes with they might be seen as a racist city. I mean, talk to Bill Russell, all right? But look, they're definitely. We're gonna get in so much trouble with this pod. I just don't care. It's the off season.
No one's listening. Don't worry.
I think Boston to me is definitely up there. I think now the only difference between Boston and Philadelphia is that Philly has an inferiority complex, and part of it is about Boston. Okay, so from a sports perspective, right? So I mean, you look at Philly for years, right? The Phillies, won a couple, championships, but there's been a lot of dead spots. The Eagles finally broke through. The Flyers have had successful periods during there, and hockey does matter there. But generally, I mean, we have to acknowledge this. I mean, Boston has been by far, it's not close. I mean, they've lapped everybody the past 15 years, right? I mean,
yeah, but not the Celtics.
But not the Celtics. And the Celtics still matter second in that town.
And that's one of the problems is you'll get into an argument with the Celtics fans, and then the Celtics fan, and they'll bring up the Patriots.
Right.
Like, dude, I'm a Giants fan. What does that have to do with me? Like, if you want to talk Super Bowls as a Giants fan, I could talk shit, but it's the deflecting of Celtics fans, and they'll bring up championships from 1950s where guys were wearing sandals and had second jobs. Like, I don't care about your 50s championships where Bill Russell was the best player in the game and he was the same size as James Jones. Like, that doesn't do a lot for me.
Right, and they also
no disrespect to Bill Russell. I'm sorry.
No, or to James Jones. But the other thing they do, it's not just that they'll bring up the Patriots, which obviously they have every right to do that. I mean, shit, we live in Miami. I mean, been following the Dolphins. But they also, they'll bring up the Red Sox, which obviously recently, since about 2004, you can do that, but. There's a pretty long dry spell, and there was always the inferiority complex with the Yankees on that. They'll bring up the Bruins. I mean, like they'll go. I mean, they'll do all of that stuff. So, but again, it's earned arrogance. I hate to say it, but it's earned arrogance in Boston. It's just the racist thing, right? Like it's It's the not realizing you're racist thing, right? It's the not a racist, but it's like Barstool, right? Okay. It is what it is, right? And that came out of Boston. So, right. But they're definitely incredibly annoying. But the one thing with the Celtics they're most annoying about is that 2008 championship. It's like 11 years, bro. Like I hate to say bro because they say that to me or chief or whatever. But it's been 11 years, and
it's just the overall. It's the 16 titles thing that bothers me. I'm sorry. They were like, we have 16 titles at the Celtics and blah, blah, blah. And then when you really go back, man, it was the 3 titles in the 80s, the one with the big 3. And then the rest of them, there were like 7 teams in the league, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and I know maybe I'm being a crappy basketball historian here, but and because we're talking about fans, right? Now, I understand Boston as a franchise can hold on to that legacy. But as we're talking about fans, there should be some fan rules, right? Mm-hmm. If the title did not happen while you were born, I don't want to hear about it. Like, if you didn't exist when you won that title, I don't care. So if you're 19 and you're talking about championships from the 80s, you sound like an idiot because you weren't even alive to see them. Like, right. Don't argue with me about Bird. You didn't see Bird play.
Right. Well, that's true. Right. I mean, by the time most of them were born, Bird was lying on his back, trying to get 15 minutes on the court. But look, what a Philly fan would say to Boston is, "Would you guys ever win without?" My accents are terrible. I'm not gonna do it. What did you guys ever win without Bird, Russell, Heinsohn, Havlicek, Sam Jones, and Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, and Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish? What did you guys ever win with?
Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and Paul Pierce.
What did you win with Antoine Walker? Like that,
you needed 3 Hall of Famers.
Right. You
needed basically every one of their titles they had at least 3 Hall of Famers.
Right, and so they don't count. They don't count, right? They don't.
No, I'm discounting all of them now.
Right. None of them count. Okay, so we've got Boston fans in there for sure. I'm going to do the third one here, and this is kind of a legacy pick because they're not annoying anymore because they no longer exist. But I've got to throw Cavs fans in there from a Heat perspective.
They've been humbled, man.
Are they still there? I don't know.
I mean, there's Justin. Can't remember his last
Rowan.
name.
We like Justin Rowan. Okay, we like Justin.
Yeah, he's awesome. But
right,
he's the last one.
But these are the fans that I fought with for a full year when I was the trader, spelled Trader, who was covering the Cavaliers for a year because I was the LeBron writer for Bleacher Report. LeBron decided to leave on the day that my daughter was born, or 6 days before, and so I ended up spending a year in that hellhole. I
wonder why they hate you in Cleveland.
Right, and I just sort of said this. But their big thing was not trader. Their big thing was butthurt. What is it about the word butthurt that people in the middle of this country love so much?
Because it's homophobic, and they
okay.
when you get down to it, it's homophobic. Is what it is.
Okay, all right, right. So, okay, so that was what we got for Boston fans.
And you said middle of the country, so it kind of just goes hand in hand.
Okay, so that's what I was getting all the time, was that I was somehow butthurt. I didn't care that LeBron went to Cleveland and left the Heat. I don't have a rooting interest in this. I care that I had to leave paradise to go to a hellhole. That's what was bothering me this year. So I just want to make that clear to Cavs fans. But Cavs fans had no sense of perspective on the whole LeBron thing. None. Okay. He wasn't coming back there because you were a good organization. I mean, listen to David Griffin's comments, okay, which is something
we should do a whole show on that.
LeBron both pretty well. I was a little stunned that I think Griff got taken out of context on some of it, and Woj tweeting about it, on kind of the previous podcast he'd done with it, I think was a sort of a play to protect Griff a little bit. I talked to some people at ESPN who said Griff had mentioned some friends of mine that I have at work at ESPN, some of whom who said that Griff, had communicated with them that some of it was taken out of context by this SI writer. But either way, it was a little surprising to me but I was there for that year, the first year, some of what Griff's talking about. But the reality is LeBron didn't go to Cleveland because he liked Cleveland or because he thought the organization was good or that Dan Gilbert wasn't a racist. He went to Cleveland, okay, because it was a narrative play. And because there were some personal factors that were driving him out of Miami and some organizational factors too. But that's the reason that he left. So Cleveland fans, I mean, you talk about unearned arrogance, like literally you just got lucky that a player was born 30 minutes from you that typically hates your city, because Akron and Cleveland are like, they're feuding brothers. So
that's what people say. Oh, he was born in Cleveland. No, it's like me being born in West Palm Beach and saying I'm from Miami.
Right.
It's not. It's first, and then a lot of people in Miami don't even like West Palm Beach and vice versa. But, for narrative's sake, he was born in Cleveland.
Right. So that's basically that.
And then exactly what you're saying. So they make it seem like they're entitled to LeBron because he was born nearby. And that's why, and it's not that, and so basically it was just luck of the draw. Mm-hmm. But it somehow led to them being successful, them building great teams around LeBron, which they didn't. I mean, the last 4 years that he was there, they built some capable teams,
right?
But even then, like they weren't.
Well, they were quick. They were quick fixes and overpaid players, right? Like J.R.
And luck and Draymond kicking somebody in the nuts is the only reason that wasn't a complete failure.
Right, but I don't want to do what Philly fans. I don't want to say, look, the title's legit. They came back from 3-1. They won a championship.
I did just do the Philly fan thing, right?
You just did the Philly fan thing. Okay. The Draymond kicking somebody in the nuts, let's back off. And again, I don't want to get sued here or anything, so I don't know if Dan Gilbert's a racist or not, so we'll pull that. Just
we're gonna have to have some disclaimers at the end of this episode.
I just know he wrote a racist letter. That's what I know. Okay, I'm not speaking to anything else. Okay, that again, people in LeBron's family thought was and didn't want him to go back for that reason. So that's all on the record. But what I want to say is, as far as Cavs fans, there was a certain anger that Cavs fans had, that I don't understand why they had it, because like you said, they lucked into the fact that LeBron was born there. They lucked into the lottery, what was it, 4 times? Number 1 overall pick, right? Kyrie, Anthony Bennett, Andrew Wiggins, and LeBron, right? So 4 times they lucked into the number 1 pick. And yet they were angry, and they were angry on December 2nd, 2010, which was the scariest environment. I've been to soccer stadiums in South America, okay, and I've never been to a place where I feared for my life like I did that night in Cleveland, okay, where they were throwing batteries, okay, and where they had, at the bar down the street, the little thing you piss into, the urinal cake or whatever, and they had like LeBron's mouth open, okay, I'm seriously, like the night before.
Well, and that also lends itself to a bad fan base, like the disgusting, vile stuff in Philly, Boston, Cleveland, they all have a little bit of that.
Oh yeah, no, in Cleveland, I mean in Boston. Well, those were the three places where the chants were the worst about LeBron and his mother and Delonte and his mother, and those were the three places. In Boston, like those places, that was a scary environment outside the arena after some of those Celtics Heat playoff games. I mean, that was not.
But then it just gets chalked up to passion.
Yeah, but it ain't just passion. It's
no, it's not.
We know it is. All right, so we've got those three. Those are down there. I'm gonna let you do number 4. Pick another one.
And this is probably it's not related as much to the Heat, but it's just an annoying fan base, especially if you're on Twitter a lot. The Lakers. The Laker fan base is like everybody that, and I think the Heat fans do this a little bit too. Anybody that comes loose or is a free agent or is up for a trade, they're in a Lakers uniform on Twitter the next day. Like, and until LeBron messed it up. He always messes these things up. They never got anybody, but they constantly put them in Lakers jerseys, and it was hilarious. But yeah, they are, because of the Kobe thing. The Kobe thing makes them super annoying.
Well, that's the thing. You're calling them Laker fans. I don't even think they're Laker fans. They're just
the Kobe fans are worse than the Laker fans.
But, right. It's a subset, but they're not really Laker fans. I mean, except there's some who are like Cuffs the legend, right? Who just follows LeBron around everywhere. But
there's a lot of Cuffs out there.
Right, there's a lot of Cuffs, right? But a lot of them are just, and we should have Sedano on to talk about this because he's dealt with a lot of this stuff. But like. They're just Kobe fans. They're Kobe stands. You can't argue with them. Like I posted the stats where literally, I mean, if you look at a per 36-minute basis over the course of their careers, Dwayne Wade's numbers are better than Kobe's. They are.
Oh, don't start the prime Wade, prime Kobe argument.
I know that that Dwayne's prime didn't last as long because of the injuries and everything, and it is what it is. Like you can't take the injuries out. Like the career is a career. So again, this is like the championship things with the Sixers and the Heat. It's just the numbers, and the numbers tell you that on a per minute basis, Dwayne Wade was every bit as good as Kobe Bryant. Now we can talk about
except more efficient,
and right, more efficient. But Kobe having 3 inches on him in terms of height and everything. We can talk about all that stuff, but it's just about Kobe fans. And you're right, every player who comes free. It's why it irritated me so much when LeBron went out there because the Lakers got rewarded for their failure in the same way that Cleveland did, in the same way that Philly is. Like, that's the thing that these organizations have in common. Now, they did it different ways in terms of how they procured players, but Cleveland got rewarded for basically getting the number 1 overall pick and getting Kyrie, because LeBron, even for all the other issues, probably doesn't go back there unless they have a player of Kyrie's potential, right? So they get
another number 1 pick in Wiggins that he could flip for Kevin Love.
Right, their big 3 was built on failure. It was built on 2 other number 1 overall picks.
So it's like these teams collect these assets by losing for a while, and then they get rewarded by it.
And then their fans get arrogant. Whereas the Heat have never done that. Like so when the Heat got LeBron and Bosh in 2010, they were coming off 2 playoff seasons, but they decided that wasn't good enough, right? So they were clearing the decks. They could have kept that team together in 2010. Dwayne probably would have had a mental breakdown because he was tired of carrying that team, but they could have kept it together. They had Beasley, they had Haslam, they had Chalmers, they had some players together. Instead, what do? They stripped down the whole team except Rio, because of course Rio's God. And by the way, I did post this on Twitter. Who would you rather have taking the last shot, Chalmers, Simmons, or Embiid? And Chalmers, of course, won in the landslides, not because it was Heat fans, just because it's fact. But
he's super clutch.
It's super clutch. And we're gonna have him on soon. I'm trying. I'm texting. The Big Three's coming down here, so you and I are gonna cover that. And that it's the Big Three, the 3-on-3 tournaments does come to the arena. I think it's next week. So yeah, I just, that's the thing. The Heat have built, like, again, the past couple of years have not been good enough, but there's the playoffs in there, okay, and they did, they lost to Philly, fine, but there's a playoff team there in the, in that 38 to 37 to 45 win range, not good enough for them. So they build from that. But these other 3 franchises we're talking, not so much Boston, but Philadelphia and Cleveland and the Lakers, it's from failure. Like the Lakers, like they just lucked into the fact that LeBron wants to make Space Jam. That's it. That's all this is about. That's why he's there. And so it's not because they've done anything right. I mean, look how many people have gone through that front office. Jeannie Buss has been a disaster.
I mean, Ethan, what was the narrative? Why did LeBron want to go there? Because of that fantastic young core, right?
None of whom are still there.
Except you.
Except Kuzma.
Yeah,
who suddenly Kuzma has got 100 rating in NBA 2K.
yeah.
I don't know.
Kuzma is now part of a big three, which is absolutely amazing to me.
I don't. I mean, I wouldn't debate for another day, but I'd take Justice Winslow over Kyle Kuzma.
So
that's debate.
So, yeah, it's definitely would as well. But just because of defense, Kuzma plays absolutely no. I mean, he's horrid on defense.
Right.
All the advanced numbers say he's a negative player. But anyway, I left the last one for you because I think I know who you want to pick.
Well, I'm torn on this one, but I
really
feel like no. There's a bunch of them. I mean, look, Indiana fans for a while were obnoxious.
Yeah, but I mean.
There's nobody else in the Southeast Division that anybody pays attention to, so we're not. I mean, there are.
We're gonna get mad at Magic fans.
No, well, there are no Washington fans. I mean, I tried to stir that up with my podcast with Candace, and it just no Wizards fans were there. Like
I remember the Hornets series. It was like so hard to engage with any real Hornets fans.
Well, yeah, one dude wore a purple shirt. And
yeah, exactly.
And that's enough. There are no Nets fans. I mean, now there will be, right? But there are because they're all converted Knicks fans, which is where I'm getting to in a second. And so we're really talking about the division out west. I mean, Warriors fans never really bothered me. They don't
I like Warriors fans actually.
They never really bother me. Rockets fans, I don't like. I deal with a lot of them on Twitter. I don't like them. Daryl Morey is not God. Let's move on from that. So there are some fans out there. I mean, Jazz fans are, again, we talk about racist. I've been in that arena. Okay. So I have a personal problem with the way that a lot of Jazz fans, I'm not going to say all, it's not all, but some comport themselves. Some of the things I've heard said to Haslam over the years in that place, things that were said to Westbrook when he was there last year. Remember that? I mean, so Jazz fans, not my favorite. Nuggets fans are harmless. So we go through some of these guys. Portland fans I like, actually. Portland, they're really into their team. It's a great building. It's a great city. And Toronto fans, I have a lot of regard for. The way they've embraced that team and everything else. I have to go with Knicks fans. And I have to go with them even though I feel sorry for them. I'm just full disclosure, I was one. I mean, the only NBA jersey I've ever owned was John Starks. Okay. So,
and you know what? I did root for the Knicks against the Bulls because I loved Pat Riley.
Yeah. I was from there. Right. So I
was born there as well.
Right. And that was, I was born in Queens and that team was New York. I mean, it was New York and it was scrappy and it was overachieving and Starks was bagging groceries. And Anthony Mason came out of nowhere, and Oakley kicked your ass. And I always respected Patrick. I always feel like Patrick is one of those overlooked stars in history because he just happened to be in the wrong era. So I had great regard for him as a player and everything else. And I really liked those teams. And obviously, I respected Pat as a coach when I was a fan at the time. Okay. And then I came down here and I was no longer a fan and I started covering the Heat and I'm not a fan now. But it has to be Knicks fans to me because even though I feel sad for them because of the history, right? It's just for a Heat fan, they have to be in the top five. Even though I don't, it's hard to hate them because they've been through so much.
Oh, it's not hard. It's not hard at all. Listen, I mean, we all go through droughts. The thing with the Knicks fan, and all of my friends are Knicks fans, oddly enough. So like literally, like I have like one friend that listens to my podcast. Like none of our download numbers are coming from me being a popular person out in the streets. So like all of my friends are Knicks fans, and the one thing that I will give them, they have become just like the Boston fans with the Brad Stevens love. Like they've become more self-aware as time has gone on.
Right.
But there is this thing where like they overhype guys like Kevin Knox a little bit.
But that's not just a Knicks thing. That's a New York.
I mean, but it's not even just New York. It's we all do it, right? We all like. I mean, there's people out there saying Josh Richardson was untouchable. We still, you love your own, but Alf. Yeah, we hold Bam and Winslow in super high regard, but the Knicks fans, like I knew Knicks fans who knew they weren't getting anybody this summer. Like they didn't get overexcited. They just knew for a fact that they're not getting anybody.
And they lost them to Brooklyn. To Brooklyn. Like the Nets have no fans. I've been in that arena many times. Like it's just, and now they're all going to be. I mean, it's Jay-Z, right? And then whoever else shows up there, okay, because they got nothing else to do.
And Brooklyn's going to be a fly-by-night thing because they don't have the they'll be because Brooklyn's gotten a little popularity before, right? When they were doing those the Brooklyn chants in
Yeah.
the arena for a little bit. Who runs the city? But it's a fleeting thing because really there's no roots
Is there
within the.
really a rival? Look, I've spent a lot of time in Brooklyn. Again, I was born in Queens, okay, and I went to grad school in Manhattan, okay. So I'm familiar. I've spent a lot of time in all three, there's 5 boroughs, but those 3 in particular. But is there is there a real rivalry between Brooklyn and Manhattan? Because I've never really, just having lived up there a while, my brother lives in
Yeah.
Queens.
I don't think so. Nobody
Is
has
there
a
rivalry between the Bronx and Manhattan? Like, Yankee fans are Yankee fans.
There's no rivalry with Manhattan because nobody considers themselves from Manhattan.
They're just from New York.
Yeah,
right?
You're from New York, or you were born in Brooklyn and got a better job and moved to Manhattan. Like,
Right.
nobody is from Manhattan. So now Brooklyn and the Bronx, or Bronx and Queens and Queens and Staten Island, yeah, they can have their own little rivalries. But the Knicks are in Manhattan, and Manhattan is New York.
Right. So I feel like what's happened here is the Knicks are so pathetic that they have no hope ever. So we have this other little franchise, and they're going to kind of be the surrogate for the Knicks. Like, that's what it feels like to me. It's like, okay, New York has Durant and Kyrie. Oh yeah, the Knicks suck, and Dolan's an idiot. But like, yeah, the Knicks have. So I don't really know what to do with. I guess I'm going to spend more time up there later this summer.
You're going to get bandwagon Knicks fans that are just saying, you know what, like until the Knicks get good again, I might as well just root for Brooklyn.
I think that's going to happen, right?
And then as soon as the Knicks get good again, which who knows
not
when,
happen. Not or
the Nets get bad again, everyone's going to run back to the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
But I would but as far as the fan base is concerned, so you can almost group the Nets and the Knicks together. The Knicks fan may take the cake for unearned arrogance. The whole Mecca crap.
Well, okay, but the Mecca, I feel like the Mecca isn't even about that anymore. It's not even about the Knicks.
But the Knicks fans hold, this is the Mecca.
I know, but it's because of the other shit that happens there. So it's
it's nothing to do.
I've covered fights there. I've been to.
But when's the last time a Knicks player dropped 50 in the Mecca? I mean, it's always some opposing player. I remember when Dwayne went up there and did it. LeBron did it. Durant did it.
Well, of course, and MJ's double nickel, right? That was the 55. Yeah, I can't. The other thing about it is, and I'm just going to get this out there, and again, I still consider myself a New Yorker in a lot of ways. MSG is not that great. It's just not. Like, I know they renovated it. Okay, maybe some of this is my bitterness because during those Heat Knicks series, like we used to sit on the floor on the baseline, and that was a super cool experience, right? I mean, I was next to Anthony Carter when he shot the ball over the backboard, okay, and all that. Like, that is and then AC was out on the town the next day and everybody was recognizing him. Like, that was a super cool experience, okay, to be there for those things, PJ Brown and Charlie Ward and all that. Now they Dolan stuck the media up in this catty corner. That's why Frank Isola, friend of mine, is so bitter. He's he's like up in the rafters. He's like on a JetBlue flight somewhere, okay? Like, that's how far up they are. It's not a great experience for the media. I don't think it's a great experience for the fans. Like, I like the lighting there, and they did some stuff with the concourses and the food's a little better. But, like, I could find 15 arenas in the NBA I still like better. Like, the only thing about MSG that I really like is you take the train and you're there. You go to Penn State.
There's the nostalgia. Listen, it is a historical building, but it has done nothing for the Knicks franchise.
No.
As far as the track. And that's what I tell Knicks fans all the time. I say it doesn't matter what city you're in, the fan base, the building, the nostalgia, the history. As long as James Dolan is the owner, and not just the owner in making decisions. Like, if he somehow would just slink into the background and not get involved and not be fighting with Charles Oakley in the stands, maybe people would see the Knicks in a different light. But at this point, they're a joke. And like, when you see an owner mistreating a former, like, it would be like an owner coming in and treating Haslam like crap in 10 years. You don't do that to Charles Oakley, but it's tone deaf, and the guy is tone deaf, and that's the problem with the Knicks franchise. It all leads back to one guy, and nobody wants to play for James Dolan.
Right, that's the whole thing.
And they say stupid things like if they had landed 2 superstars this summer, they would have brought back Melo.
Yeah, I mean, right. That's right. So Look,
Could you imagine being a superstar and saying you're going to bring back who? Like, you're going to take the ball out of my hands and give it to who now? Like,
right. Well, that's like I said. I mean, it's the whole thing is it's gotten to the point where I just feel sorry for Knicks fans, but I have to include them in the top 5. So, what was there one that I missed? Was there one you thought I was going to pick that I didn't?
No, that I knew you were going to go to the Knicks.
All right, because the only other one I was really considering was Bulls fans.
I haven't heard from them in 5 years.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, do they know?
I forgot I didn't like them.
Right. I mean, do we know they're still on the, do they know who's still on the team? I'm not sure.
Right. Were they going to talk crap to me about Zach LaVine? No, we're good.
Well, I do think the one thing with Bulls fans, and we'll close this here, I do think the thing with Bulls fans is this idea about Chicago that everybody turns out to everything. And that's just not true. Like when during the period without Jordan, and again with the Bulls for a lot of years, it was they were really incredible or they were awful, right? Because they just bottomed out with Tim Floyd and everything. But there was nobody in that building. And also Bulls fans, and I don't really blame them for this because part of this is where the United Center is based, okay, in that area, which is not MSG. It's not in a central location. It's freezing as hell. It's not especially safe, okay? A whole bunch of things that you deal with in Chicago. But like, you talk about late arriving and early leaving. Like I spent a lot of nights in the United Center, all right, and all the shit that Heat fans get. That's true for Bulls fans. So I'm gonna throw them in kind of as a 6th, but they don't.
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention. Dishonorable mention. They don't really bother me that much. But I'm gonna say we went through our 5. I still think Sixers fans are the worst. I that's what I've come out. With.
Today in 2019, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they are. It's the only thing Sixers will ever win. But yeah, I think that
I was really proud of you when you got into because last week it was me because I was at the airport because I had been getting into it with them for a few days, and I was at the airport. I saw the Heat store in the Miami airport on my way to Vegas, so I took a picture of the Butler jersey and the Hero jersey or Hero whatever in front of the Heat store, and I put retweet to ruin a Sixers fan's day.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would think the way to respond to that is not to react to it. They're not that smart. I mean, 500 retweets, 800 likes. Literally, I had about 300 to 400 quote tweets from Sixers fans. We're not mad. Okay, you just proved that you're mad.
Well, right. That is my favorite thing you mentioned earlier. My favorite thing on social media is, who cares about that? You just commented.
Yeah. No, my favorite was, oh, look, Tyler Hero's their second best player because they put his jersey out front.
Right. Or
maybe they're just promoting the 2 newest jerseys.
Or they're just trying to sell new jerseys. Or Tyler Hero's the second coming, and according to Heat fans, he is. I wonder where
Untouchable.
I wonder where Heat fans rank for other people. Maybe we'll do that another day. All right, we're going to get back to basketball. I actually got to go because I got to get ready for this Bam Adebayo press conference. Again, 5reasonsports.com. Spell it out, FIVE, reasonsports.com. We're adding some new Heat writers on there, so you'll be able to catch that content. List of 3 yards per carry. Fish Tanks, Mark Your Territories coming back on wrestling. Ballscast posted this morning. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm a little afraid to. And of course, Fish Tank with Jason Taylor. And Fantasy on 5 actually came back after a month-long hiatus. So
Light Skin Opinions will be recording on Monday and posting on Wednesday or Thursday of next week. So
all right.
Look out for that.
Make sure to address Philly fans. We will talk to you soon.
Before we close today's episode, I want to tell you about another of the great sponsors of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. You know them well by now. It's the law office of Seltzer Mayberg. You can find them at onecalllegal.com. That's onecalllegal.com, or call 1-855-5000-LAW. They handle cases including, but not limited to, car accidents, slip and falls, and traffic tickets with a new 15,000 square foot office opening on I-95 in North Miami. They handle cases from all over the state. Call now with 24/7 service for a free consultation. That's onecalllegal.com, 1-855-5000-LAW.